Dear friends, today we're going to learn some of the important points which are related to CPU and practical. In last sessions, we have discussed control statement, various important syntax, what is C out, what is C in, how we have to take the input in C++, print the output on the other devices from memory by using C out, what is namespace, what are the header files we are included in the program, how we have to use that header file. For example, I was given a simple example, that is hash include filename.h. That hash is what? Preprocessor directive. That particular hash include indicates to the C++ compiler that specific statement include the header file. Filename.h, file name, that file name is user defined file name. It will be reused in our code, so we have to refer that particular code also. So in that session we see what is loop, what is the difference between for loop, while loop, do while loop. So friends, the loop, basically loop is used to iterate the part of the program several times. We have to execute our specific code up to the specific iteration until we do not reach the final condition. If the number of iteration is fixed, then friends, we use for loop. Then while loop or do while loop. Means that is the difference between for loop, while or do while loop. If the number of iteration is not known or not fixed, that time we have to use do while or while loop. So for loop can have their counter variables declare in declaration itself. But in while loop, there is no built-in loop control variable with the while loop. The for loop is preferable when we know exactly how many times the loop will be repeated. Friends, for while loop will continue to run infinite number of times until the final condition is met. So basically, friends, the for loop that will be started or that will be initialized a specific value, then in second thing in the for loop that will be executed that specific loop and for that purpose we have to given the destination condition in the for loop. And last one is we write I plus plus or I minus minus means what, variable plus plus or variable minus minus, that is the decrement or increment of the value. The C++ for loop is same as C or C hash. We can initialize variable j condition and increment or decrement the value. So for initialization, for loop, syntax of for loop is what? For bracket initialization semicolon condition increment or decrement open curly and close curly. In that specific open and close curly we have to write our code for execution in for loop. So this is very simple example where we have to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 10. Friends, in that we include iostream.h or iostream file as a header file. std namespace using is the keyword. The next here we refer for loop that will be initialize their variable I which have an integer data type is 1. It will be executed until that for loop is executed until the final condition I is equal to or less than 10, and then next we increment I plus plus. So that will be print 1 to 10 numbers. Friends, for assignment purpose, I have to given you a simple program which print the numbers from 10 to 1 means what, in reverse order. This is the example of nested for loop. Nested for loop between the for loop. So here we have to taken two different variables. I is equal to 1 semicolon I is less than or equal to 3. I plus plus, that is what the first loop. And second one is integer j is equal to 1, j is less than or equal to 3, j plus plus. When we have to iterate first time I is equal to 1, at that time the compiler goes their control to the next for loop j is equal to 1. So that will be print I and j 1 and 1. For the next iteration, the compiler is already in the inner for loop. So that will be increment the value of j. So we have to print here 1 and 2. Likewise 1, 3. And after j, test the condition. Next condition. Then that will be goes to the outer for loop. So friend, here the value of I is increase. The value of I is what? 2. And for I is equal to 2, the j is executed for 1, 2, 3. And then next I is equal to 3, then j is executed for 1, 2, 3. So here the output is 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3. Second loop is while loop. In C++, while loop is used to iterate a part of the program several times. Yes. If the number of iteration is not fixed, I already discussed in the last slide what is the difference between for loop and while loop or do while loop. If the number of iteration is fixed, at that time you have to use for loop. If the number of iteration is not known, at that time you have to use while loop. So it is recommended to use while loop than for loop. So syntax of while loop is very simple. While, then we have to write the condition which will be tested for the execution of that code, and next code to be executed. So friend, example, this is also print 1 to 10 as output. So here the initialization of variable is in different line, that will be initialized before while loop. So that is also the difference. If you have to see the for loop, in for loop we have to define the initialization, but in while loop we define initialization before the while loop started, or before the controller reach the while loop. So here I is equal to 1, we do not change that value, and it will be executed the test condition I is less than or equal to 10, and then next it prints 1 to 10. Friends, likewise the for loop, nested for loop, the nested while loop is also present. The while loop, between the while loop, that is called as nested while loop. So that will be executed similar, but here we have to initialize two variable before executing the variable final test condition. So here we initialize first variable before defining the first loop I is equal to 1. So I will be executed up to less than or equal to 3. J is equal to 1, j is less than or equal to 3. So that will be print 1 1 up to 3 3. So friends, you will do the practice of each and every program. Those are given in that slides or explained by me, because that will be required for the execution of our practical number 1. Today we also take practical number 1, the 3n plus 1. So before that, for that 3n plus 1, we required if control statement, if else control statement, and if possible we require different types of basics of C++. It is mandatory to each and every student to execute their program in C++ only, not in C, not in Python, or not in Java. So next slide is on function. It is very easy. Friends, sometimes when we have to perform the specific code or a procedure or a subroutine which consists set of instructions, and that set of instructions will be called in the main program. So that set of instructions or the procedure or the subroutine is called function. The function is of two types. First, call by value function, and second one is call by reference function. Friends, in call by value, we have to pass the value with the function where we have to call it in the main program, and after that, that parameters is passed in the function where we have to use the function definition. So in call by value, value being passed to the function is locally stored by the function parameter in stack memory location. Everything for C, C++ or any language, everything is stored in the memory. So that memory have a given parameter name if we have to use in function, that is called by value function. If we have to refer the address of the memory, then that is what we have to refer some of the references, that is called as call by reference. This is the second type of function. So here I will take a simple example of call by value function. The function is change and we have to pass the parameter integer data. In main function, the data is 3. In the definition of the function, the name of the function is change int data. In that curly, we have to pass data is equal to 5. So in main program, data is equal to 3. We pass the value 3 with the function. So friend, execute that program. What is the output of that program? Please check it. So the next type of function is call by reference function. In that, we stores the value in the memory. We do not refer the parameter name. Here we refer the addresses where the value is stored. So specifically friends, when we perform that type of reference function, we always have a knowledge of pointer in C++. So here the swapping function is defined int star x comma int star y. In main function, if you are going to call that specific defined function in the main function, then that time we use ampersand x and ampersand y. We refer the addresses of x or address of x and address of y of the memory location. And we have to take here x is equal to 500 and y is equal to 100 in the main program. So that will be passes the address. For example, if you have to take the address of x is 1001, at the 1001 the data is 500, and suppose we have to take the address of y is 1002, the address of y stores in the memory location that data is 100. So we pass here 1001 for the defined function int star x. At that place we have to pass 1001, and for int star y we have to pass 1002. So that two memory locations are passed in the function. So integer swap is equal to star x Here we have to use third variable for swapping also. So that will be stores the address of x, value of x, because we have to refer here the pointer, value of x. So you know very well the swapping, that will be print x is equal to 100 and y is equal to 500. So that is called by a reference function. The next slide is based on arrays. You know array very well in C language, in object oriented program also. For that purpose you have to refer your code or program in Java. Likewise C++ also provides the concept array. So friend, what is array? Array is a group of similar types of elements that have a contiguous memory location. Means if we have to store the similar type of data in the memory, we refer the concept array. Here I have to take on the example how to indexing and how to stores the data in the memory location. That is the continuous memory location. 10, 20, 30, 40, these are the datas that will be referred in the array from the index 0 to 3. Means the array starts from 0 here, and we can store only fixed set of elements in C++ array. So that is the advantage as well as that is the disadvantage of array also, because we use only the fixed memory locations, continuous memory locations. We do not change that memory locations or fixed memory locations at the runtime. So some of the advantages of code optimization: if we use array, then we have to write lesser code. Random access, we have to access any element by referring their index value. Easy to traverse, in that array we have to traverse from 0 index to the last index. We traverse from last index to the 0th index, or we traverse from the mid also, anywhere from the array. We have to manipulate easily the data. And last and important thing, there are number of sorting algorithms. When we perform number of sorting algorithms, bubble sort, insertion sort, cell sort, we sort that element easily by array. This is our observation, friends. There are the single dimensional array, multi-dimensional array. It is very easy. 10, 0, 20, 30, sorry 0, 30. These are the all integers that will be stored continuously from 0th index to the 4th index, and we have to print it very easy. 10, 0, 20, 0, 30. This will be print by using for loop and cout. Passing array to a function. Likewise, we have to pass the parameters. Similarly, we also pass here the array to any function. In the main program, there are two different types of arrays. Array 1 that will be consist 5 elements, and array 2 it will be consist also 5 elements. So both are integer data type. In first array 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and second array the elements is 5, 15, 25, 35, 45. print array, these are the two functions. Means a similar function we have to call in the main program two times. For the first time we have to pass array1 and print the array1 in the where we have to define the function. So the compiler control from print array1 that will goes to the void print array int array 5 elements. Printing arrays elements, if we go inside the function where we have to declare it for I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, we print 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. After printing or after executing the for loop, we goes outside or the controller goes outside and that will be reach the next statement from the main program print array2. After executing that statement, the controller of the compiler goes to the function where it will be declared, and then similarly that prints 5, 15, 25, 35 and 45 as the output. So friends, there are several practicals we are executed in C++. These are the programming challenges. Our first programming challenge is 3n plus 1 problem. What is 3n plus 1 problem? How it will be executed? How we have to understand this problem? This is very easy problem, friends. The 3n plus 1 problem is known as Collat's conjecture. It is also known as Collat's conjecture. What is Collat's conjecture? Collat's conjecture is simply a series. The 3n plus 1 is also the series. What the series is. So here, if we take the even number, then we have to divide that number by 2. If the number is odd number, triple it and add 1, that is 3n plus 1. So very easy, friends. If you take here 12, n is equal to 12 from the user, then that 12 is what? That 12 is an even number. And what we have to do here, if the number is even, we divide that number by 2. So we get 12 divided by 2, we get 6. So in the first, at the first index of that Collat's series is 12. The next number is 6 because in the specific algorithm, if the number is even number, then we divide that number by 2. So we get next value is 6. So when we have to execute the for loop or the condition for the next output, that is 6, that 6 is also even number, we divide that 6 by 2, so we get 3. The 3 is odd number, so for that purpose we have to go into the else condition and we perform 3n plus 1 step. So when we get 3 as the output, and that is the next input for that series, so here the n is 3, so 3 into 3 plus 1, that is the second condition if the number is odd. Then we find 9 plus 1, that is 10. Friend, 10 is even number. So we divide it by 2. We get 5. 5 is odd number. Again, we perform 3n plus 1. 5 into 3 plus 1, 16. 16 is even number. Then divide by 2. That is 8. 8 is even number. So divide by 2. 4. Then we get 4. 4 is even number. Divide by 2. We get 2. And last, 2 is even number. Then 2 divided by 2, we get 1. So friends, we start from n is equal to 12 and finally we get 1. So until 1, we executed that iterations. Very easy programming challenge. This is the first program of our or practical of our 3n of our CP1 competitive programming 1. Programming challenge, the 3n plus 1. This is the practical number 1. So friends, execute that practical. This is, I have to taken the example of 12. Yes, that will be taken in the next slide. N is equal to 12. That is the input from the user. So print n. First of all, we print the first number 12. N is greater than 1. Yes. So that number is even number. We find the modulus. If modulus means what, remainder is 0, then we divide that number by 2 and print that number. Else, if we passes the value of n is odd number, then we perform the step in we goes in else condition. So n is equal to 3 into n plus 1. So friends, we get here 12, 6, 3, 10, 5, 16, 8, 4, 2 and 1. It is very easy to understand that first number 12 is the even number. So the remainder, we are going in the if control statement, the remainder is 0. So we divide that 12 by 6. We divide that 12 by 6. Sorry, 12 by 2. We find the output 6. Yes. Then we again check the while condition, 6 is greater than 1. Yes. So 6 is the modulus. We find the modulus of 6 mod of 2. We get 0 here again. Remainder is 0. So 6 is a even number. We get 6 divided by 2. We get 3. But friend, the 3 is the odd number. So here we have to check again. 3 is greater than 1. Yes. If n mod by 2 is equal to 0, no, because 3 provides here the remainder. So at that time we are going to the else execution control statement. So 3 into n, that is 3 into 3 plus 1, that is 3 into 3, that is 3 into 3, 9 plus 1, 10. So 10, we get here 10. Print it 10. We go again to the while loop. 10 is greater than 1. Yes. 10 is a even number. So remainder is 0. And 10 divided by 2, that is 5. 5 is the output, sample output. Again we check for the 5. 5 is greater than 1. Yes. If 5 mod of 2, then remainder is 1. So that is the odd number. And we go to the 3 into n plus 1 else control statement. We get 5 into 3 plus 1, 16. 16 is the even number. 16 modulus of 2 is equal to 0. Yes. So 16 divided by 2. The output is 8. Again we executed for 8. We get the output is here 4 because that 8 is the even number. We divide 4 by 2. We get the output is 2, and finally we got 1. That is also called as Colak's conjecture, and that problem is called as 3n plus 1 problem. This is our practical number 1, friends. Execute this practice. The another slide taken for odd number 5. So friends, you have to execute that specific program for 7, 9, 11, 13, suppose 15, etc., etc. You have to take 2 to 3 examples and execute your practical today. Thank you.